Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. A set of 5 consecutive even integers is ordered from least to greatest. The sum of the first and fourth even integers is 5860% more than the quotient of the fifth even integer and 30. The first even integer is a p% less than the fifth even integer, where p is a constant. What is the value of p? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay, for example, let me say 4 is the first even integer. What is the next even integer? That is 6. What is the next even integer? 8. Next, 10, 12. Okay, here, when we have 4 as the first even integer, to get the next integer 6, what should I do with this 4? I have to add 2. That is, when I add 2 to this integer 4, I am getting the consecutive even integer 6. Okay, now to get the next even integer 8, what should I do with this 6? The same thing, that is, I have to add 2. Now to get the next even integer 10, what should I do with this 8? Again, I have to add 2. So this is the logic to create consecutive even integers. But I do not know exactly what is the first even integer. So let's say x is the first even integer. To get the consecutive even integer, I have to add 2 to this x. Then I'm getting x positive 2. Okay, now to get the consecutive even integer, we have to add 2 to this one. Then I'm getting x positive 4. Then add 2 to this one to get the next integer. We get x positive 6. Then we get x positive 8. Okay, here we have 5 consecutive even integers. Now let me consider the information we have over here. That is a sum of the first and fourth even integers. Okay, now let me take the first one and the fourth one, add them. X positive 6, which is equal to 5860% more than. Since we have 5860% more than, we have to add this number to 100. That is 100 positive 5860. Then we have to take percentage times the stuff we have over here. That is the quotient of the fifth even integer and 30. To get the quotient of the fifth even integer and 30, we have to divide the fifth even integer by 30. Okay, here the fifth even integer is x positive 8. It has to be divided by 30. Here we can combine this x and x. Then I'm getting 2x positive 6 equals to, when I add this 100 and 5860, I'm getting 5960% times x positive 8 divided by 30. Okay, let me continue over here. 2x positive 6 equals to, we can write this percentage as a fraction. Then I'm getting 5960 divided by 100 times x positive 8 divided by 30. Okay, here 2x positive 6 equals to, let's multiply this one and this one. That is, we have to write them together. 5960 times x positive 8 divided by, when I multiply the two denominators, I am getting 3000. Okay, in this equation, we have to solve for x. When I solve for x, that represents the first even integer. Okay, I think we can use Desmos graphing calculator to solve for x in this one. Okay, now let's go to Desmos. Here we have Desmos graphing calculator. Okay, let me give the equation as input. 2x positive 6 equals to 5960 times x positive 8 divided by 3000. Okay, here in the equation we have over here, the unknown is x. Since the unknown is x, in the graph we have to consider the x-intercept to get a solution for this equation. That is the value for x. Okay, now let me go to the graph. Let me zoom out. Where is the graph over here? Okay, let me zoom out. Oh, okay, I got the graph over here. Now let me consider the x-intercept of the graph over here. Let me zoom in over here. I think the x-intercept is, okay, x-intercept is 742, 0. In the x-intercept, the x-coordinate over here is 742. So this is the value of x in this equation. Okay, here I got the solution. That is x equals to 742. Okay, now let's go to the original question. In Desmos, we got x equals to 742. Actually, in our previous work, we have assumed x as the first even integer. So the first even integer is 742. The next even integer is 744. And the next even integer is 746. Then 748. Then 750. Okay, here we have the 5 consecutive even integers. Okay, now let me go to this information. That is, the first even integer is p% less than the fifth even integer. Okay, now let me take the first even integer, that is 742, which is equal to p% less than. P% less than means we have to subtract this p from 100. Then we get 100 negative p percentage times the fifth even integer. The fifth even integer is 750. Okay, here 742, and we can write this percentage as a fraction. Then I'm getting 100 negative p over 100 times 750. Okay, we can solve for p in this equation using Desmos. Okay, now let's go to Desmos. In this equation, p is unknown. When I want to solve this kind of implicit equations using Desmos, at the place of unknown, I have to use either x or y, because Desmos will accept either x or y as unknown. So here at the place of p, if I use x, then I have to consider the x-intercept of the graph to get solution for this equation. In case I use y at the place of p, I have to consider y-intercept of the graph to get solution for this equation. Here I am going to use x at the place of p. Okay, now let me give the equation as input. That is 742 equals to 100 negative, instead of p, we have to take x times 750 divided by 100. Okay, here I have given the equation as input. Now let me find the graph over here. Okay, the graph is over here. It's in green color. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay, now since we have used x at the place of unknown p, we have to consider the x-intercept of the graph over here. So the x-intercept of the graph is 1.06667, Now we have to consider the x coordinate over here. That's the value of x in this equation, but we have taken x at the place of p. So this is the value of p. It is p equals to 1.06667. According to the instruction, we have to round the value to the nearest hundredth. Okay, when I round this value to the nearest hundredth, I am getting 1.07. Therefore, the value of p is about 1.07.